Welcome to another Kings of War 3rd Edition online battle report. Orcs vs. Northern Alliance, Scenario Control, 1995 points. Alright, this was my 1995 point Orc list. By no means would I copy this list and use it again, but there are some good things in it. First, I had an Axe Horde with the Mead of Madness. Then I had an Axe Horde with the Pipes of Terror. A Long Axe Horde with the Brew of Sharpness. 2 Axe Regiments. A More Axe Regiment with the Blood of the Old King and the Orcish Skull Pole. A Gore Rider Regiment with the Potion of the Caterpillar. 2 More Axe Troops. A War Drum. A God Speaker with the Shroud of the Saint and Heal 2. Bane Chant to replace Fireball. A Flagger with the Lute of Insatiable Darkness. A Crusher and with a Blade of Slashing on a Gore. A couple of things I want to say about the list. One is I did not have enough inspiring in the list. Matter of fact, I didn't have any inspiring in the list. For some reason I thought that the War Drum inspired, but obviously it does not. The second thing is I need to have some more flyer defense, which could have meant the Wing Slasher or something along those lines. That would have helped tremendously. I would have to given up some stuff, but it wouldn't have been horrible to have just a little bit better army list. So has a high unit strength and stuff, which should be good for this scenario, but the lack of flyer defense was not good, and the lack of inspiring was not good. So you can see that Polly moved very quickly to push my left flank, and even his Chimera is starting to move that direction. On the right flank, his archers somehow wavered my Axe Regiment. I don't think the odds of that were actually very high, but his dice were very good to him this game, I have to admit. And they wavered on the first turn, which was unfortunate because I was hoping they would use them to maybe shelter my Morax for a while, since their armor is just a little bit less. She's in her bedroom like a dork. What? Yep. So on this turn, this is my first turn, I angled my Axe Regiment and my Gore Rider Regiment toward the approaching Giant and Tundra Wolves, and there's something behind, and I actually don't remember what they are. In the middle, I moved the Spear Orcs with the War Drum behind them and the God Speaker. To the right of them is just an Axe Horde. I'm not sure what that one had. I don't think it even mattered. To the right of him, next to the house, is the Grudger with the Blade of Slashing, and his job was to hopefully ground a flyer. The other Axe Horde just went ahead and marched forward. I had carefully measured to make sure that they could do that. And the Morax marched forward as well, because the other unit was wavered and really couldn't do anything about it. I left the ASB back there next to that wavered unit for whatever reason. One thing I want to note is over on the left flank, you see that little tiny dot. That is basically the Northern Alliance version of the Assassin. It is wicked good. And I don't know if Polly's been listening to my character analysis for the Kingdoms of Men, but the Northern Alliance Assassin is excellent. I mean, he's got 6 swings. So he'll pretty much eviscerate any character he fights. And so it kind of comes back to the counter of the counter. So in other words, I have a anti-flyer defense, and now he has an assassin that basically is the anti-flyer defense. So we'll have to see how that works out during the game, but I am predicting greatness for that model. So for Northern Alliance 2, he just kept kind of pushing my flank there, and you can see the little assassin guy has now whipped around behind my army, and now there's my War Drum and my God Speaker all alone, plus the Crusher over there. His rest of his guys just tangled. I don't know what his Chimera was doing in this phase. It moved up right next to his big unit of Naiads, which I have ensnare. So they're a pretty decent unit. His shooting on the hill actually killed my poor Axe Regiment. I was just stunned I mean, an axe regiment has armor 5, and the morale isn't great, but I had the BSB standing right next to it, so I mean, should have been a decent chance, but I don't know how well he rolled. But it was eviscerating, I have to say. All right, I did this really idiotic move and moved my orcs up regiment up on top of the hill, and that was going to allow me to be double charged by the giant and the tundra wolves, and so that was dumb. The other thing I did is I went ahead and moved up into the woods because I really thought that to come up with a fight, sometimes it's better off in the woods because of hindered, but in reality it was stupid because the unit he had there really couldn't hurt my orcs. So I should have just stayed back, waited to move across the center line at the very end of the game instead of moving up so aggressively. Matter of fact, all I did was dig myself into a hole. Um, I did move up aggressively on the right flank because I thought maybe I could get rid of those stupid archers, and there's behind them a unit of house carls, and then there's a unit of snow trolls. Uh, if they're snow trolls or elementals, I'm not sure. I think they're snow trolls. So again, not a very good move. I moved my crusher out to oppose the assassin in case he charged into something. I actually moved the war drum to interpose next to my so if he wanted to charge, he could charge the war drum, but not charge my God speaker. So that was my idea of greatness this turn. We'll have to see how it goes. So as predicted, the giant and the Tundra Wolves went ahead and charged my regiment on the hill. I think those are Frostfang, a regiment of Frostfang cavalry, and maybe I forgot about that they have wild charge, and I got my Gore Riders charged without ever swinging. His Chimera, of course, I'd moved too close. If I'd have stayed back like I thought about, his Chimera jumps over my lines, and now I'm in super duper trouble. And then the nasty Northern Alliance assassin charged my crusher. Um, his Ice-Skin hunters went ahead and charged my Morax, which is probably not going to go well for them. But who knows? I mean, the way the dice were going this game, it probably didn't really matter what everything did. But excellent move by my opponent. I guess on the good side is my Gore Riders eliminated his Frostfang unit, but all that did was open me up to a charge from the giant, and then his Chimera moved over there as well to assist, along with the Thunderwolves doing their nimble move. He's charged his assassin guy into my rear of those guys, and in very middle I was still holding out. I had taken a couple wounds from bolt throws, but that wasn't any big deal. My guys had killed the Ice-Skin hunters, and now he had setting a trap behind the hill up there, and of course I fell into it because that's the way I played this entire game. You see, I turned my spear orcs around to turn before because the Chimera was behind me, and now I charged into the Frost Giant. Did quite a few wounds to him with Bane Chat and everything. The war drum moved out to one side there. I'm not sure what that was all about, but that's the way it went. And I just pivoted in the middle to threaten his Naiads. Over on the right hand side, I pivoted to face his Snow Trolls. And for some reason, I moved the Morax up onto the flank of his Housecarls, and that was going to let his Housecarls charge right by me and into that poor unit of Orcs, and I really couldn't do much about it. Okay, so my stupidity in the moving too far forward cost me the unit of Spear Orcs that were fighting the Chimera and the Giant, plus the Assassin. In the middle, the Naiads held up my other Orc horde, and the Tundra Wolves charged them in the flank. I was up to 10 wounds, which is not good, but I was still in the game, and I think that I had at least some unit strength there. Up in the upper right hand corner, my Morak, the move I did for my Morax was just cost me so badly, and but I did have a unit up there across the table, so that gave me a couple of points. We kind of looked to see if the Orcs in the middle were going to give me some points or not, but we'll have to see. Alright, so there was a turn 7. Everything went from bad to really, really, really bad. I managed to kill the Housecarl unit with my Morax, which I was kind of happy about. I'd Bane-chanted them so that they could puncture their armor. His Snow Trolls just moved into this other side of the table. Unfortunately, my Orc horde in the middle died a horrible death. We didn't even show all the movement, but the Chimera could charge into their flank. And I don't know, maybe the Giant too, but it was awful. And so I went from only marginally losing to losing like 8-0. So I have to say that in all the games I've played online and in Kings of War, this was absolutely the worst defeat I've ever had. I was totally slaughtered. Alright, in retrospect, I figured out that I did not deploy these 2 units of Morax troops that I had, and that probably would have helped the cause quite a bit, but I don't know. The thing is lately I've been putting a lot of anti-flyer stuff in my list, at least my own big flyer, and maybe some other sort of guy with wings or something like that, or on a boar with the sort of beast slaying, and that usually is a pretty good amount of flyer defense for at least one flyer. I mean, it wouldn't really help all that much against 2, but against 1 is pretty decent. As far as my infantry was fine. I just deployed them. I moved too far forward when I didn't have to move up until like the last turn. It wasn't like that he had some massive line of infantry in front of me that was going to keep me from moving across the table. He had 1 unit of infantry basically, and everything else was just faster, smaller stuff. So totally screwed that up. I think I could have even did okay if even without the extra troops, if I would have just held back and made him fight me from the front instead of fighting me from the side and rear and everything else. But I really totally blew this game as far as movement, and my opponent just absolutely figured out how to cut me off at the knees, and he did. Paulie's been playing a long time. He's been playing at least as long as I have, and he's not going to make very many mistakes. And when he has somebody on the ropes, he does not let off. It just keeps pounding and pounding, which is what you're supposed to do. Again, I've not really had that much trouble beating Northern Alliance list, but maybe down a couple hundred points and not having such a good design of the list probably hamstrung me a little bit. But really, it was more my tactics that hamstrung me. I made the mistake on the right-hand side with the Morax. All I had to do was stay online, and I would have been fine. Could have potentially won over there on that side. But the middle, just moving too far forward too soon, that was a mistake. Losing my 1 axe regiment to shooting I would have never thought that would happen in 100 years, especially from just regular strength archers that don't have any kind of special stuff on them. So that was troublesome. And anyway, well, I'll get him next time. I'll maybe play my list the way it's supposed to be played next time, and maybe get a rematch in and see if I can do okay.